A very warm welcome, everybody, to the Big Five Racing Podcast. My name is Harrison Ferris. It is a pleasure to have you all aboard as we enter into the fifth week of the National Hunt season. Some fantastic racing to take you through from last weekend. And now is when it really starts to warm up over the next couple of weeks. The November meeting just down the road, as well as the Betfair, the Hennessy. We've got a lot coming up for you and a lot to be excited about. Just the two amigos this week, with Matty's a little bit busy with more important things than to be sat here, but I am very pleased to be joined by Cotty this afternoon to assess what was a fantastic weekend for the Big Five. 5 races covered now on the domestic shores cart. We had 4 winners between us. I took the Royal Piss at Del Mar. Everything went well last weekend, and it's definitely put a couple of pounds in the bag towards the November meeting in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, no, really good weekend. Hopefully the same this weekend, and then obviously like you said, the November meeting next weekend. If we can hit the ground running, that would be carry on hitting the ground. That'll be perfect. No, very good weekend. Racing's probably not as good this weekend as it was last weekend, but that doesn't matter. We can still got the 5 races to go through, and hopefully hit the same strike rate as we did last week.
Hopefully, we do have races to take you from very shortly. Wincanton have been inspecting every single minute. That's why we've left this podcast as late as we possibly can to hope their racing's going ahead. I think it's 50-50 at the minute, but we've also got some racing from up north again. Before we get to that, though, important, especially whilst Cott's here, is to talk through the winners from last week, because really we've got 2 set divisions here. We've got graded hurdling, and then we've got handicapping, where you've picked winners out from where, obviously, I suppose going forward, this could be pivotal, not necessarily just towards the Cheltenham Festival, for the entire season, looking at these 2 horses going on and improving in their divisions to grade 1s and Premier Handicaps. We'll go to Wetherby first then with the graded race, and it was the Bet365 hurdle that you landed the winner in. I think it used to be called the West Yorkshire hurdle. Strong leader, not necessarily the strongest in the market. There was some very interesting betting patterns that went into this. Potter's Charm, our favourite, decked it. That left 4 horses. We had 3 between us, and I was looking at Winter Fog thinking we're all going to be fighting silver medals here. Strong leader, exactly. That's what he was in the finish. When he got to the front, he just had enough, didn't he?
Yeah, no, very good ride. Obviously, the race kind of lost its hype. Maybe might be the right word when Potter's Charm fell. Obviously, got backed into favourite and had a decent enough season last year, winning the Grade 1. So when that fell quite early on, it was kind of, okay, all eyes on Sean Bowen now. And I was confident enough down the back, but coming into the home straight, I thought I'm really going to need a Sean Bowen masterclass here. And then even 2 out didn't jump great. And I thought that was kind of my money down the pan. But, he galvanised the horse, jumping the last, and just got past Harry Scouten, which I think we could see multiple times this season on a Saturday now. The Murphy and the Bowen duo picking up graded races on Saturdays. I think that's the pair to really go to war with this season, and I think we'll be seeing plenty more success from the pair of them on the big races on Saturdays.
Yeah, they may well be already fighting for third in that trainer's title, Ollie Murphy and the likes behind him. But what's to say, if he keeps rolling out these Saturday winners, he can't be quite close to Nicholls, Henderson, those type of trainers. Another fantastic Saturday winner there for Ollie Murphy and Sean Bowen. What a partnership that was. Dudley the Great was my pick in that race, who, quite annoyingly, was bowling along from the front very well. And when they turned in, there was half a glance you were thinking, this thing might have just escaped with it. The jumping was vile. The jumping down the back street really did cost him. He made 3 or 4 errors, probably took about 10 to 12 lengths out of him in the end. He only lost by a length and a half. I will absolutely be keeping Dudley the Great on my side for, if not graded races, something in a handicap feature somewhere down the line. But
it did seem to jink it a couple as well, didn't it? It was quite even coming around the bend, it kind of lost its concentration, which is unusual for a horse that's had that much experience. So no, definitely wanted to take out the race. I think you're right.
100%. Yeah, I don't know what it was. Was it a case of, it kind of reminded me, there was a lot of horses doing it at the weekend, and you mentioned it. When Gallopin was second in the Gold Cup last year, because the ground was so good, he wanted to stay in the air as long as he wanted. It was like he was frightened when he got to his hurdles because he knew he'd be back on the ground on the other side. I don't know what it was, but definitely one that we're going to keep on side. I'm sure you'll agree there. That was the winner from Weatherby. The one at Ascot that you had came in the Sodexo Live Gold Cup Handicap Chase. It was an area one. No, I think it was a 1-2 actually between yourself and Matty. Great finish in the end. Change of man only second because Henry's friend for Ben Pauling managed to get the job done. I mean, on the bend, it didn't look necessarily like he was going to be the winner. It looked for a long time like the changing man was just going to go and bowl along and get in front. But the changing man, that last half of furlong doesn't tell you he's a good stayer. I don't know what does.
Yeah, no, I think this was the highlight of my weekend. Henry's friend managed to get on in the week, and then on Betfair had a little top up at I think 15.5 to 1 just before the off, and yeah, got into a really really nice position early on, and jumped them into the ground. Really proper jumping display that was, and always taking lengths out the field, filling the horse's lungs up, and then proved to have enough left in the tank when the changing man came upside, arguably going better the two, but Henry's friend just wanted it more. The changing man has got a lot of twos and threes besides its name, whether that's due to only putting 80-90% in or just coming up against horses that are slightly better on the day. I'm not too sure. It didn't look like he threw it away. It just looked like Henry's friend just wanted it a bit more than the changing man throwing it away. But no, great winner to get on the board, and they're the ones you really want throughout the weekend. Puts your head well above water instead of your 6-4, 2-1 shots. If you can get one of them in a week, you're never going to go far wrong.
No, definitely. If you land one of the big handicaps on the Saturday like you did there, you're going to have a good weekend. 2 for the ultimate, 1,000,000%. I think that's both where they're going to be targeted, or go back to the big 3-mile chases at Ascot down the season. Not quite at the graded level, I don't think, but obviously the way English racing is, like I seen the entries for the Betfair in a few weeks' time, I thought you do well to call that a grade one. We'll put it that way, anyways. Maybe these horses can improve to grade a company in time, but a very nice winner for yourself. A little bit of a ones to watch from the weekend as well. There was so many good performances. Like I just mentioned, Doddy the Great there. If there was a horse that hadn't won this weekend or did in another race, was there something that caught your eye we can take forward going into the rest of the season?
There was a horse that actually ran today at Chepstow. It did win very nicely. Um, got backed off the boards like it couldn't lose, and I thought it was a very impressive, and that was Sober Glory in the half two at Chepstow on the Wednesday for Philip Hobson, John White, Ben Jones rode it. It won by 12 lengths. It made all. It jumped very well for a hurdle debut. It won 3 bumpers last year. The last one being a listed race. I looked this morning; it was even money. I put it on 5 minutes before the race, and it got backed into 1-2. So they clearly knew that they had it fully tuned up. And I just thought that ground at Chepstow today looked a bit on the tacky side. It was good to soft, but it looked like it took some getting. I just thought it was quite well. It was very spring-heeled over its hurdles, and sometimes they're a bit brave at a couple or run down one on a hurdle debut. But no, I thought that was very professional and a horse that could seriously be going places this season. So that was my kind of starlight, I guess, of the week. The one to watch was actually came in the race before in the 2 o'clock at Chepstow on the Wednesday, and that was Double Measure for Dan Skelton and Harry Skelton. Again, your maiden hurdles this time of the year when the big guns send them out. I think your fate before the off when you see the market drifts and horses get backed in and whatnot. And Double Measure was quite weak in the market and was ridden very cold. Probably could have got the job done. Maybe one for further on down the line. Was only beat 3/4 of a length, but I thought travelled very nicely throughout the race. Didn't jump the last hurdle great, which probably didn't help its chances in the running. But again, the race was won by Sean Bone and Ollie Murphy, who we keep talking lots about. But maybe if the ride was a little bit stronger, it could have had a one beside its name. But I'm sure we'll be hearing plenty more about this horse throughout the season. So Double Measure in the 2 o'clock at Chepstow.
Big yards and small yards there for you. A very nice sort of array from these good understandable maidens from this time of year where some need the run, some are fresh to go. Like you said there, the market tells you more than you need to know about those, but great insight into a couple there. There was one I liked from the Saturday grade 2 from Down Royal. Croke Park ran in it. He was third. He's not my one to watch, don't worry. Gorgeous Tommy finished second, was 4 lengths behind Firefox in the end, and the market kind of spoke for Firefox's favour, was shuffled into odds on and stayed there all day. But Gorgeous Tom, and it was a horse that I know you will have done the same here. Darragh O'Keefe spoke so highly of this horse last year going into the 2025 festival as one of the kind of shining lights from the Bromhead stable. And of course, a lot of their feature stars are getting old now. Honeysuckle's retired. Envoy Len is probably in his last season. I think this is the young pretender. He's only 7. He's ran well there over 3 miles. I think that probably a drop back down in distance. I thought that John Darkin would have been perfect for him over 2.5. Could still go to that, of course, but I would be looking at those middle distance kind of campaignees, and I think that this is a very good open company horse. If there's better horses in a field, like if there's an Il Etait Temps, but there's a better 2.5 miler, I might not back him. But he's definitely one I think that you're going to get good prices about all season, and is definitely one. He's fluent with his jumping. He doesn't stay the full 3 miles just yet, especially in good company. But I think over 2.5, this thing could be a weapon, and that's one I'm very excited for the rest of the season. We've got 5 fresh races to take you from then this weekend. We're going to this Southwest Country Festival. It's called Cotty. I don't know who came up with the name of that, but definitely not shy of a few jobs at the BHA if that's the best they can come up with. We've got racing from Exeter, Wincanton, and we are back up north to the beautiful Aintree racecourse to wrap you all off over the Grand National fences for the first time this season in the Grand Sefton Handicap Chase. Before we get you too excited, though, it's back to the Friday part of the Big 5 this weekend. The 225 from Exeter, the big race of the season very early on, is the BetMGM Holden Gold Cup Handicap Chase. It's a grade 2 limited handicap. 2 miles, 1.5 furlongs. Goodness me, does he need to get back in the big time with his stars. Caliph de Barley, the 6-4 favourite here for Paul Nicholls, looking to get on the board and continue a very good season last year over sticks. JPR1 won this race 12 months ago. He comes back after neglecting from Cheltenham a few weeks ago. Was 5-2, big prices about the rest. I couldn't put a tenner on guessing who you would go to out of these top 2, if that's the case that you are, Cotty, because the prices don't give you anything that's going to make you rich. So possibly you go down the line, you look at March Tory as a pretty good handicapper, going into graded company. This is probably trickier than it looks on paper.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very interesting race, and it's actually got some very good prize money, nearly 60 grand to the winner, which makes you think, why isn't Willie Mullins or someone sent one over? You know, very winnable race, 60 grand. Does beg the question. I find it interesting that Caliph de Burley, you know, obviously Nicholls has had some bad news with Caldwell Potter being out for this season. Very good chasing career last year, winning the Grade 1 at Aintree before signing off for the year. My only slight concern with this horse is the one time it's gone over fences right-handed was at Sandown, and it came 4th of 4. All its other winning around Newbury, Cheltenham, and Aintree has all been left-handed. Exeter's a right-handed track. Hasn't run for 216 days, so I'm happy to take that on. I can make a case for the next 3 in the market. So JPR1 won the race last year off a mark of 149. It's off 153 today. Won it on good ground. It's good ground scheduled for Friday's thing. So that adds plenty of ticks in the box. I think Joe Tizard's last 5 runners, he's had 4 winners. So the yard's in good form. Martator for Venetia Williams. This is her time of year. Obviously won the Charlie Allwood Dejello last weekend. So the stabler
coming up as well with
Royal Guy.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, this is her time of the year, and you know these handicap chases, the £50,000 races. These are the ones that she normally does really well in. Kind of loses her way when it's really at the top of the game, but no, she does well in these races, and pretty sure Martator had a couple of entries at Ascot on the weekend and decided to skip them to obviously come here, so that's interesting. And then Thistleask for the Scoutons had two quick wins. I think this is a bit of a quirky horse actually. It wears a hood for a reason, I think, but Tristan Durrell's give this two really good rides. The last twice it's ran, making all on pretty much both of them. When it jumps, it's very quick through the air. I'd find it very interesting that they've took the chance to lob this into a grade two. You know, it's had two quick runs, like I said, 25th of October, 31st of October, and then bang straight into a grade two. Be 7 days later from its last win. So I think that's interesting. They must clearly think that the horse is striving at the minute. So yeah, I think my selection would be JPR1. I just think that the right-handed track is a bit of concern for me on the favourite. So I'll tip up JPR1, but I'll be very interested to see how Thistleass goes for the scouting team. I think that's an interesting race to put him in. So yeah.
Yeah, he'll come back off the sharp end of a turnaround from 2 wins in the last couple of weeks, like you mentioned there, at 9-1. A lot of money coming for that, actually. So interesting to see. Equally a bit of money for JPR1 into 5-2 now. I suppose target training is such a pivotal thing. Whenever a stable like Joe Tizard has an opportunity this good to win 60 grand, they've obviously got this boy like it's his Gold Cup. So I'm sure there's a very good reason for him being there at the top of the market. The very top of the market's where I'm going to go here, only because it's a horse that, yeah, you've made good enough reasons there to justify against him. I've pretty much been on him from day dot. I think it was I had backed him in the Adonis, and then since then, over the last 2 seasons, I've just been flat out on him. And then the win at Aintree last time was a real sort of moment in time where I thought, right, this thing is now going to go up the gears. And I was on low to Sud that day in the Maggle Novices Chase when Caliph de Burley did win, which was quite annoying, really, because it was one of them, like, if you've got a horse that you think is just good, just get on every single time. But the money was speaking for the Skeltons that day. I think we were there, actually, weren't we? And it just really put me off. But Caliph de Burley has just been completely progressive in his stages for now the last season and a half, where he didn't start off as the friendliest of jumpers. He's fixed that out. He's very distance consistent as well. I think going back down to 2 miles here is sound for him. I think he's a rock solid 2 mile. Is he a campaignee to get excited for a champion chase? Not yet, but he's already at 156, so he's probably only got about £15 to get up to the big boys, to the John Bonds, the Marine Nationale. So he's not a million miles off this horse, and I think this is probably a pretty good spot in here from Nicholls. They've seen that Mullins hasn't sent anything over. Dan's on his third string. This is a great chance for him to get £60,000 in the back of his pocket. So Caliph de Burley is going to take my money in the Holden Gold Cup on the Friday at Exeter. Keep things moving on then. We go to Wincanton then for the 223 from Wincanton. It's the Boodles Rising Stars Novices Hurdle Chase. Grade 2, 2.5 miles. Blue King Daru, another Paul Nicholls favourite here, caught 11-8, and then you're into a horse you backed lots of times last year, and you had him very early on in the season at Cheltenham, double powerful 7-2. This is a big step up for him. If he's good enough off a short layoff, he could win this as well. I'd be interested actually to see if you're going to go double powerful here. It's not the worst novices chase of all time. This, give us a bit of insight for him.
No, I think this is a respectable grade two, really, for the ground that's been provided on at this time of the year. You know, good to firm, and at the start of November, you'd never have thought that, and you know, Venetia Williams definitely won't be happy about that. But no, I think this favourite here is very strong, albeit it got turned over last time out at 2-9 round Newton Abbott, but that was on good to soft ground, and I just think that maybe the ground that day potentially might have been too soft for it. I think this is a proper good ground horse, but doesn't like it too soft. Was a non-runner on the 12th of October at the Chepstow meeting for unsuitable ground when that was listed good to firm. So, you know, between now and then you'd want a bit of water into the ground, but not too much. Yeah, turned over at 2-9, so obviously that's got a raise slight question marks. But I just think after that run, we should see a completely different horse now. Double Powerful made its chase debut round Cheltenham, so you know you'd like to think if you can jump round Cheltenham first time, then having a spin round Wincanton second time out should be an absolute walk in the park. So that's an obvious danger. The third one in here, Cobra Queen, will obviously have the mare's allowance. Probably gonna guess Henry de Bromhead has never ever sent a horse to Wincanton in his life. The horse has never ran in England before, so you'd obviously have to factor in the travel. Will the mare like the travel? And that's a question mark. It is also entered in the Badger Beers race as well. So is it going to go here or the race later on in the card? Art of Diplomacy has had a very, very good summer. I did know one of the owners who used to own this horse when it was with Dr. Newland. It's now since gone to Mickey Bowen. I think he's won 5 or 6 on the spin with it, and then it fell last time out when it had the race won at Chepstow. So now a very, very improving horse, and it's going through the ranks. But I think this might be slightly out of reach. So I'll play the market order in. I'll go for Blue King Daru and just hope the class shines through. But yeah, I would not be surprised if Double Powerful served it up to him. But no, Blue King Daru for me.
Have just made confirmation there with the race and post. This is the first horse that Henry de Bromhead has ever had at Wincanton. I suppose interestingly there, I mean, Henry would probably be the most likely of the Irish trainers, the big ones, to send ones over to give them a crack. James Bowen takes the ride. I assume this is going to be the preference over the Badger Beer because it's not jocked up for that. I mean, 2 wins on the spin gets the mare's allowance. I mean, in most people's head, they'll be thinking just back the Irish horse here, surely.
Well, I don't know. The mares are funny, I think, and like I said, with the travel and that. And right now, if I was having a bet, I wouldn't even be sure that it was going to this race with the Badger Beer. Also entered. She's also entered in that as well. So 4-1. For me right now, it wouldn't be for me. I'd be happy to back the Nicholls horse at 11-8.
As would I. I'm going to go with Blue King Drew here as well and give it a Paul Nicholls double to start off the picks here. Nemean Lions Bitch, this horse was for a very long time, of course, at the start of 2025. Lost ties to it, got thumped at Fontwell, came back to Sandown, won brilliantly. Got its head down against Salva in a very interesting race there on finals day. It came back this season at Newton Abbott, a very, very much a case of needed the run. It wasn't exactly like it was battered off the park. I mean, Risking the Ground is a decent enough horse. Wouldn't be out of place in a grade 2 like this, but obviously fell in at 2-9. I fell out with 2-9. Newton Abbott, Wincanton and Paul Nicholls. This is your I don't know. This is your Willie Mullins and Leopardstown of England, isn't it? Really, Cott. I mean, he absolutely drills off the place. The stables are just down there as well. He's won umpteenth amount of Badger Beers that we'll get onto shortly, and I think Blue King Drew is going to be primed for this. Has had the run with this in mind, and I think there's no reason off what we've seen a couple of weeks ago to be put off at 11-8, and I'm pretty keen on this. Probably my from what I've seen anyway, it's probably my strongest pick of the 5 from this week's selection. Got some elite hurdle action to take you through from the Wincanton side of things too. The 255 there, the BetMGM Elite Hurdle, grade 2 Class 1, 1 mile, 7 furlong, shortest potential distance you can go over national hunt racing in the United Kingdom. Paul Nicholls, another favourite here. He could be on for a massive weekend. Rubo takes the sticks here at 8-11. Very consistent type, back over hurdling again. Gibbs Island, the best horse in Tom Lacey's yard, and some change on that one, 5-2. Nappers Hill would be a second choice for Paul Nicholls. I don't think that will run. And then Calico's in there at 10s equally. Don't think that's going to go. Fortune de Mare is jocked up by Harry Skelton and is 10-1. Rubo then caught. You're going to have to buy in at a cheap price here, but I think won the race 12 months ago, has been consistent over hurdles. I had a pop over there 3 weeks ago at Kempton, beat Bardet Road in a semi-upset, I suppose you could say. But I suppose that's just 2 very good horses going at it. Has a lot of horses behind, and I mean behind the likes of Majborough, Ampere Pass, Load Absurd, where you would look and think, well, they're just a level above him, but dropping back down to this grade, his race to lose.
Yeah, I think this should be called the BetMGM Rubo Hurdle, more than the Elite Hurdle. Has won it the last 2 years, and you'd be baffled really if it was to lose it today. The field's nowhere near half as good as what it has been previously. Yeah, Wincanton as Paul Nicholls and Harry Cobden stomping ground. Ticks pretty much every box. I was against this horse last time out against Bardet Road, and proved me wrong that day, so I have no option but to stick with it today. I'm a little bit baffled as to why Fortune de Mer is as big as 10-1. The bookies must think this horse is no good. It won a Grade 2 at Cheltenham the other week, went from 5-2 to 14-1 and won by a short head. And it's in here at 10-1, while Gibbs Island is 5-2 and Nappers Hill, who we haven't seen for 728 days, is 5-1.
Ain't going.
Yeah, it's just a bit, I don't know, 10-1 seems a bit too big, really. I know Gibbs Island won a nice race at Chepstow off 11 stone 12 last month, and I know Matty mentioned that on the podcast and said that he was really impressed with that horse, but you'd have to raise question marks if you think Gibbs Island is good enough to win a Grade 2. But yeah, that 10-1 on Fortune de Mer is quite interesting, really. If you were to play the if you can get 8 runners, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're probably not going to get 8 runners, but yeah, 10-1 does seem a bit too big. But yeah, Rubo at 8-11 is
yeah. All right.
one that can go in a football bet and even double it with the one before, I guess. If you don't like getting stuck in on 2 odds on, well, 1 odds on favourite and a 11-8 shot, you can easily put those 2 in a quick fire double, I guess. But yeah, 2 pretty boring selections. But I'd rather tip a winner than give one at a price that I'm not too sure on.
He's just not. It's just nice enough to have the same ones as you for once. I know these are very boring, typical picks, but we could be loading up fucking the all-time treble here, and equally, nothing I can add about Rubo. Fantastic at Kempton, consistent type, love him over hurdles. Wincanton's his back garden. I need to sort of bring in the Fortune de Mer idea here, because this thing is jocked up at 10-1, 15 days after it won at Cheltenham, is a Cheltenham bumper winner. Now, either this horse is going to despise the ground, which surely it won't, because we raced pretty much on good ground the entire time at Cheltenham, or on a very fast good to soft. So you can't take any eliminations out there. It's rated 124. So logically, yeah, fair enough. It's got to find £25 on Brubo. So maybe that's what you're getting the money out of. But 10-1, there's some very strange betting patterns going on with this horse, Cobb.
Yeah, no, I just find it interesting, to win a Grade 2 round Cheltenham. No matter what the quality of the Grade 2 you think it is, it still takes some doing. And yeah, 10-1 just does seem a bit big of a price. And like you said, with a jockey booked up as well, you'd like to think that it is going to go there. So no, it's interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, definitely want to keep an eye out on just keep your bet fair open on Saturday, folks, and see what happens to this horse, because if it barge pulls out to 25-1 again and it wins, it's gonna be some investigating to be done by the BHA there, I'm sure. But it's Rubo for the pair of us there, anyways. At 8-11 should just be a surefire thing. To the big race of the week from Wincanton, then the 3:30 there, the old school 64th running of the Badger Beers Handicap Chase Premier over 3 miles and a furlong. It's Alan King who's got the current favourite in here, the Doyen Chief at 5-1. We mentioned Cobra Queen. If she went here, she'd be the second favourite for the Bromhead, but is not jocked up for this race, is for the other one. I would assume she's going to go for the graded race earlier on in the card. Emma Lavelle with Hang In there, very the old boy there at 8-1, and then Largy Poet is in at 8-1. Gingle takes on for Nicholls, and Cobden will ride 3 under through 5. Let's try and hopefully put a bit of a stop to the rut here with the Paul Nicholls horses. I mean, this is his weekend, I suppose, so it's not a bad time to be on them. But again, couldn't pay me to try and guess what you're going to go for here. If I was going to take a stab in the dark, is Lowry's bar about right?
No, you're wrong. I've landed on collector's item for John Joe and AJ O'Neill around the 12-1 mark. Is now off a mark of 135. It won at Wincanton at the start of the year, 16th of Jan. 3 mile 2 round Wincanton, good to soft, off a mark of 132. Was then sent to the what's that big race called? The Eder at Newcastle, the one that's about 4 miles long. Was put up £4 for that and was pulled up, and then went to a big race at Sandown off an even higher mark of 142. Came 8th out of 19 that day. on good ground. With the ground being on the quick side on Saturday, you really want to look for horses that can go on the quick ground. It's a winner of a novice hurdle on good ground, so that's a big tick in the box for me. I think Wincanton, it's a sharp right-handed track, and I just think if you can get some course form as well, that's also a big help. And knowing that it's won that round there before off a mark of 132, it's off a mark of 135 today. I'd imagine John Joe O'Neill would take the ride, but if not, they normally go for like a Kevin Brogan. I'm not sure if he's still claiming. If he is, it'll be £3. But yeah, only £3 above its last winning mark, and yeah, that's the only real angle I can take. Hanging There was up there. That did catch my eye, but this is coming out of Veterans Company now back into a graded handicap. Um, when it ran at Chepstow, it was kind of out the back of the TV, plugging away, pushing along, and then he came through and won quite decisively. But whether they just go that little stride quicker, put it out of its comfort zone even more on a more tighter track, that just raises question marks for me. The favourite is probably the right favourite, and the
Yeah,
Dorian Chief, very
great way.
very consistent horse, won its last two. Um, but yeah, I just thought I'd have a look a little further down the list at some value, and yeah, collector's item, 12 to 1 each way for me. Try and find the Henry's friend of this Saturday.
Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? That would have been a hell of a double. Collector's items won around Wincanton before, and you're going to side with a bit of course form. I don't think it's too prevalent, to be fair, at Wincanton, but you never know. It's always nice to have a bit of a Cena D beside your name if you can get them. I've gone slightly off the rails here because I looked at like the top of the market and I just thought there isn't like in years gone by with the Badger Beers, you've had like a Frodon, you've had a star horse that has gone there and just been too good regardless of the weights. In this incentive, you're looking at like a bunch of veterans who, because they've decided to go here and not down the veterans route, that we're going to see so many of our favorites go through for the rest of the season. I think they must have a bit more life in them to give it a bit of a pop. This horse is a little bit of a legend up in Haydock in the North courses because it seems to be where he does most of his running. Eldorado Allen, 20 to 1, 11 years of age now. So you really are backing against Father Time. Gets here off 11 stone 1, which is probably one of his lowest weights he's carried in a handicap for the last 3 years. He's dropped his mark all the way down to 142 these days from highs of low 160s. He was on his day a perennial chaser. He's won at the November meeting before. He's had some fantastic days out. I suppose really you're buying a guarantee with this. He's ground versatile, so if it does come up pretty good, he's okay with that. 3 miles one's his bread and butter. He doesn't mind staying all day if he has to. Has been bowling along from the front in his races quite recently too, so on good ground, maybe that's a good thing. Try and just maybe just try and bowl them out on. A lot of these horses are going to struggle, obviously, on this ground. I don't think Eldorado Allen's one that will. So there's a lot to look forward to. Quite sadly, it was between him and Sam Brown, but Sam Brown's like literally 13, and I refuse to back a 13-year-old in this podcast. So 11 is my upper limit. I'll give Eldorado Allen a chance at 20 to 1, but it was a difficult Badger Beer for me to pick the winner in. Leaves us with one race then to finish off the big five from this week, and we are back up to the lovely, lovely city of Liverpool. Aintree Racecourse over the Grand National fences for the first time this year. The 240 there, the Grand Sefton over 2 miles and 5 furlongs for your Ryanair types that like a bit of twig at the top of their fences. King Turgeon, I believe, won this race last year. He's definitely won it in the past. The 11 to 2 favorite, Jack Tudor, David Pipe, all the way up to 11 stone 5 these days if he's going to win it. White Rhino, a horse we've been on plenty of times, caught. Sean Bowen is going to be up in Liverpool to take the ride there at 6 to 1, 8 to 1 and bigger prices. About a lot of horses that we've got great familiarity with, I suppose, in the last couple of years. These are not veterans per se, but I think you have to be over 6 years of age to qualify for these Grand National races, so they're all good to us. I won't give you the very top of the market because it's wide open. Just give us your pick that's going to win the Grand Sefton on Saturday.
Did you say Sean Bowen's going to ride White Rhino?
He is booked to ride White Rhino, yeah.
I think that's very interesting. You are right in saying King Turgeon won the race last year, but he is also off a £12 higher mark and 2 pulled up efforts. White Rhino, Sean Bowen taking the ride there is very interesting, but it has failed to complete the course in nearly a year. The unseat and pulled up last time out is quite concerning. Johnny Who was set up to win the plate. No, the Kim Muir at the Cheltenham Festival last year. How it didn't win, I don't know. Derek O'Connor at the front too soon. I'd imagine they'll be doing the same thing, giving it the anchor and trying to go back there again next year. So I can't have that off 12 stone. There's a very, very consistent horse in here. Our Power for Sam Thomas, who's been well back. Sam Thomas is in flying form. He's had a nice double today at Chepstow. He's 5 from 8, 63% strike rate. Always runs an honest race. Got form on good to soft and soft. So there's no question marks there. It definitely stays. It came third in a Scottish Grand National. I'd like to see Dylan Johnson dropped up for that to take another £3 off, as it's at the top of the weight, so that'll be carrying 11.7 if Dylan Johnson does get the leg up.
He is.
In a race like this, I think you just want a place, really. Play for a place, and then if you're in with a shout jump in the last for the win purposes, then happy days. But yeah, Our Power around the 11 to 1 mark for me. Just a consistent horse, and there's a few at the top of the market that I have my doubts about being consistent. I think the mark of 137 for King Turgeon could be too high. If Sean Bowick can work his magic on White Rhino and get him back to his best, then so be it. But yeah, I've got a lot of time for White Rhino. So no, if it wasn't an Our Power win for me, me back pocket, then I'll be cheering on White Rhino.
Has produced a little bit of placeitis in the last 4 runs. This Our Power 2-2-3-3, but like you said there, placing in this type of company means you're always going to get 2-1, 5-2, about a top 3 job each way. So there's nothing to be put off there. Our Power, Sam Thomas, like you said, there is on absolute fire. I am a massive Sam Thomas fan, and I think his horse is on decent enough ground. Definitely something to look out for going throughout the season. Dylan Johnson will take £3 off there for you if that goes up to Liverpool on Saturday. I was originally just going to go with Gaborio in this when I had a look, because I still think that this is a horse that we've been talking about for like a season and a half now over these type of Grand National cross-country type fences for Green on Guerrero, who seem to have a knack of these races. They've had terrible luck in them in the past, but equally they have a very good way of knowing how to train these horses. And Gaborio here is coming rated 124, so he's kind of still in that stratosphere of, if you want something that's going to get a load of weight, 10 stone 6 here, my goodness, he's nearly out the handicap, he's that low. But I do think he's got the potential. He's won over 2 miles 5 before, has kept his mark pretty simple. It'll be a seasonal reappearance for him, so I think 9-1, this is definitely target training from Reno and Guerrero. White Rhino, I'd have had no interest in backing off 11 stone 9, even though he's a horse that me and you both like. I seen Sean Bowen got jocked up there, and I'm not a silly man. I won't make the same mistake 3 weekends in a row. I've not backed Sean Bowen last weekend. He had a winner. I didn't back him 2 weekends ago. He had 4 winners. I'm not doing it again. Just give me Sean Bowen over those Grand National fences, killing a horse to try and get it up, if that's the idea. 2 miles 5, exactly what this horse wants. He's got the distance beside his name. It is a seasonal reappearance. 6-1, Sean Bowen. You're not throwing money at the wall, are you there? So that's going to be my 2 for the Grand Sefton on Saturday. Hopefully between those races, we've managed to find you a couple of winners. On to our nap of the week selections then. Well, we'll put it this way. If you weren't on the podcast for the last 5 weeks, we'd be in real turmoil here of just backing complete dark shots and them all losing. I'll let you go first with yours, because if either of us are going to have a winner here, it's probably going to be you. So where is the best place to put my money this week, Harry?
I am going over to Newbury tomorrow, so that's Thursday at Newbury in the 2:15. A horse for Nicky Henderson called Charisma. Has run twice over hurdles, once in England, once in Ireland. Was third in a Class 2 in the is it the Winter Millions Festival at Windsor? Normally has some decent enough horses in. Came third that day. Then went over to the Punchestown Festival and came second. Was beat 3/4 of a length behind a horse called Cashdale Lad. I've heard along the grapevine that this horse is a horse to be on side with this season. I got told that Sean Bowen thought that this was a really good horse and a horse to stay on side with this season. I wish Sean Bowen was riding it, but we've got to settle with Nico de Boinville. But even so, I think that's enough to get the job done. It opened up 9-4. It's now 13-8 after being 15-8 earlier when I backed it. So it's not really a nap for me. I'm just going off what I've been told by a pretty reliable source. So I will stick with him.
Is the source JP McManus by any chance?
It's I wish it was JP McManus. If I had a source of JP McManus, I wouldn't be sitting doing this podcast. I know that much. um, no, sadly it's not. But nevertheless, 13-8. We'll roll the dice and see how we get on. But the form in its last two races looked decent enough, and Henderson does normally send his better horses to Newbury. It's a nice fair track, um,
Mm.
and yeah, I think it'll go close. It's the experience of having runs over hurdle will also be a big factor. Jackie's Hobbs, the second favourite at 5-2, never run over hurdles. Neither as the third favourite in Skelton. Very interesting about Heron in the Park was a 2-5 shot um, to win a novice hurdle round Worcester, leaving the parade ring, and they got down to the start and it was 4-5. I think terrible stinking drift. Cobden stuck it out the back early doors, and it never seemed to fire. So that raises question marks for me around that horse, and then yeah, you're going down the field, and none of those have run over hurdles either. So I'd expect Nico de Boinville to probably make the running, if not be sat in the van in second and third, and put the horse's experience to good use. And at 13-8, I'm happy to get involved in.
Very good there. The Indian sounding Krishna there for the Nico and Nicky Henderson duo there at Newbury. They seem to have quite a lot of success. They're 7-4 in the colours, the famous colours, the green and gold, Donegal colours of JP McManus for you. It's going to be a Thursday double between the two of us. This is obviously not the biggest priced nap you're ever going to find on this podcast, and maybe with a bit of disgrace I'm doing this, but the Clonmel Oil Chase, the Grade 2 runs tomorrow. One of the real sticklers towards the Ryanair by the back end of the season, and I'm going to go with the returning Il Etait Temps, who's 2's on at the minute. Hopefully is a little bit bigger by the time you see this, but looking at the field is the main reason I wanted to back this horse. I mean, there's two reasons. Firstly, it's only a 4-runner addition to the Clonmel this year. And the other three horses you're looking at is Gentleman to Me, Intense Raffles, and Senesi. Senesi's obviously, had his big day out. That's just basically a 3-runner race. Obviously, Il Etait Temps has to give £9 to the other pair, but this horse, I mean, I was quite upset that we didn't see it until the celebration chase at the end of last season, because he was one I had in my notebooks at the very start of last season, because his novice campaign was just absolutely thrilling. Won the Irish Arkle over Founder 50, was third in the English Arkle to Gaelic Warrior, got revenge at that then at the Punchestown Festival at the back end of the year. In between that, went up and won the 2.5-mile race that Ginny's Destiny Gaelic Warrior reopposed in, and won that brilliantly. So he came out there with 3 Grade 1s, third in the English Arkle, 1-for-1 last season in the celebration chase. Absolutely slaughtered John Bon. Unbelievable training performance. How many times have we said that about Willie Mullins? But to have this horse come back first time out and perform that well was brilliant. Seems to go fine fresh, and obviously it's great that he's on full side of fitness. We don't have any early season niggles. All right, Willie Mullins' horse is not the best to back this time of year, but this is a free hit, is a knockout. I mean, 1-2 to beat 3 other horses that, I mean, is already cleared by £9 and £13 on ratings, and just should go in, hopefully. So there's
Yeah,
a
I
nice.
think it's 1-2 to jump the fences, isn't it? More than 1-2 to beat the 3 horses. But I think that just shows the type of form you're in, really, on the podcast with your naps. You had to get off the mark, so you've thrown in the an ex Arkle winner at one to
Yeah.
two round Clonmel on a Thursday just to get yourself a graphic on Instagram is pretty poor, really. But no, hopefully it can go in at 1-2, and you can have your name in shining lights for 24 hours on a 1-2 shot.
Well, that'll make me feel a good bit better about myself than I have the last couple of days. So it'd just be nice to have a winner, to be fair, at this stage. I mean, obviously, Delmar was fantastic, but domestically, it's not been the best of seasons for me so far. So hopefully, what would that pay? About a 4-1 double between the pair of them? We'll have a bit of that, won't we, on the Thursday? So hopefully, that's a nice double for you to take into your weekends. I don't have anything to put up for Cheltenham this week. I didn't ask you, but I assume you don't.
No, I think I'm my three selections in, 2 selections in.
Yeah.
Galloping and what's the other one I put up? That's it. No, I'll leave it at those two, and hopefully I'll have one next week. Get some better ideas from this weekend's racing, but if not, we'll get some firing before March anyway. But two will do for now, and hopefully fill up my stable till about 12, so we've covered half the races before we do
Yeah.
our previews in March, which will soon fly around.
That is the end goal, really, to have around 12, 13 horses go into the festival. Nothing I've seen from this weekend or anything I've varied in the anti-post markets I'm really attached to this week. Maybe, I suppose, we'll see what happens out of Wincanton and Aintree this week if we come back in a week's time and there's something that we fancy. Really, what we're doing here, though, Cot, is we're building up to next week because we are at the November meeting. That Saturday at the November meeting is the best day's racing, not on the National Hunt calendar, but at the Cheltenham calendar outside of the festival. You know, obviously the Paddy Power is the big one, but we've got some graded novice chases on the Saturday and the Sunday. We've got the Great Woods. We've got the Schlur chase that John Bon will probably be making his reappearance in. I mean, just put it in simple terms, get me to next weekend, son.
Yeah, definitely. It's much better that Cheltenham's on next Saturday than what we've got this weekend. But take nothing away from this weekend, it's still decent enough stuff. I'd rather be watching that than a 1-mile 4 race round Epsom called the Derby. So I'm happy enough with what we've got on the weekend. But yeah, next weekend, 3 great days racing, and yeah, one we tend to do really well at. You get to find out the trainers that are in form and the trainers that aren't in form, and the jockeys that are in good form. All things like that. If you can pick up the 1-2% knowledge that the other people don't have, it's a big help in your corner. And we did very well at the meeting last year. So
Yeah,
yeah, fingers crossed. You see the early juveniles come out, don't you? I think did East India Doc absolutely hack up on
in the juvenile race on
this?
the Friday,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So you get to see the proper juveniles come out. Probably see one from Henderson's that's won a
Yeah,
maiden
Franz.
hurdle at Compagnie or
Yeah.
Toy or something. But yeah, it is a really really good meeting, and it just I think that's the halfway point. So the festival, you have the festival, and but then when once you go to this meeting, you think, right, we've got the bad 6 months out the way of
Yeah.
the flat, and now it's like that's the turning point of you're on the straight and narrow now, and but yeah, it is a really good meeting, and I'm sure
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
talk
yeah.
plenty about it next week.
Like there's a few condescending pricks out there that just want to be different, who will say that the real start of the season, the jump season, is this meeting, not what we had at Chepstow 6 weeks ago. And I suppose then this is the meeting, really, isn't it? Where we come out of thinking, right, fucking, that's winning at the festival. That's winning at the festival. It's really where you start to see the Irish horses that are good, that are coming over. And then maybe, hopefully, Skelton's got something that could be plotted towards a handicap. Nicholls might be back with a big graded winner. It's a fantastic weekend to go down to racing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I doubt you'll see any Irish superstars coming over, but
Maybe.
no, I can't see it myself. But we will see John Bon in the Schlur chase. I'd imagine, like you said,
Yeah.
that'll be one to.
Yeah. Who hates Cheltenham and is going for a 6-win round now?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can. It's going to run again. So I'll be like Il Etait Temps tomorrow when it'll be you 1-2, 2-5 to jump the fences more than to
Yeah.
beat the horses around him. So but no, it's always a good starting point and a good day out for the connections. Hopefully see JP and whatnot. But yeah, I'm sure we'll talk plenty more about it next week.
Definitely.
But yeah, you can't beat seeing superstars run up the hill. So something to look forward to.
Absolutely. And if John Bonner's two's on, that's my nap sorted for next week as well. Cot, thank you so much for coming on this week. I really appreciate it. We got through some very fair racing. We're fingers crossed that Wincanton's going to be on this weekend. We gave it a good big go of anyways, and there's a 4-1 double for you there tomorrow if you catch this in time. Thank you for joining us. We will be back next week for the Cheltenham's 2025 November meeting. A lot to look forward to there. Appreciate your time, and we will see you next week.